In this podcast, I just want to summarize the impact of the vortex theory on the idea of God. You see, if subatomic particles are vortices of energy, if our universe is formed out of spinning light, then the vortex sets up the illusion of materiality. All the properties of material substance can be explained away by vortex spin. And the thing is that mass is formed by the spin of energy in a vortex. In the subatomic spherical vortex, that is the origin of mass, according to this theory. So the energy that is spinning to form the vortex, to set up the mass, has no mass. The mass is the consequence of vortex spin. The energy that spins has no substance, it has no mass. Therefore, the energy that forms our world is more in the nature of thought than a thing, which suggests that the universe is a mind. Now, some would say, is the universe the mind of God? Well, that is presuming God exists outside of the universe. That is, who is God? What is God? The whole thing is we're trying to get a handle on what God is, not just assuming he exists and thinks up a universe. So if particles of energy are more thoughts than things, and the universe is a mind, particles of energy are also particles of intelligence. So intelligence and consciousness, conscious awareness, is another feature of mind. So intelligence and conscious awareness and intent is another feature. Because it takes intent to imagine the waves and vortices of energy. They exist by virtue of intent. They're imagined to be the way they are. So underlying the thought, is the thinker. Underlying the imagination is the imaginer. But we can't presume that there is something substantial, something or someone existing. We can only presume from this that there is an ability to think, if you see what I mean. There is an ability to imagine. We don't know who or what is behind that ability. All we know is that particles of energy are more like particles of dream. They're more like acts of imagination. The First Nation Australians were right when they said that this world we live in is a dream state. And you see, some people could argue that God is the collective intelligence of the universe. Some people could argue that the universe is God because intelligence and reason, the ability to imagine, conscious awareness, that these are all implicit within the quantum as a thought form. So really, it doesn't matter whether people think of the universe as the mind of God and want to just believe in God per se, or if other people don't like the idea of God and want to speak about an intelligent universe and intelligence underlying every quantum, and that the universe is the collective intelligence of the sum of all the quanta of energy existing. It doesn't really matter, because this is all conjecture. But one thing is certain: materialism is dead, not God. God is just a word, and it depends on how we define that word. So I leave it to you to come up with your own definition of the word God. But there is certainly one thing for sure: intelligence and conscious awareness underlies this universe. Now, my own teacher, Prempal Singh Rawat, at the age of 13, said that this world that we see is the imagination of God. And if we see God more as the capacity to imagine, the capacity to think, which then expresses itself through energy. So we as human beings have the capacity to think, we have the capacity to imagine. And if you like, that is the God part of ourselves. Then to find God, all we have to do is go within. And this is what I was taught by Prempal, is how to find the knowledge of God by going within and finding the source of my own being. You see, we need to understand the difference between God and the gods. If God has a form and can come up and have a conversation with Abraham whilst he's sitting in the door of his tent, as described in the Bible, if God can walk with Adam in the cool of the evening, the Garden of Eden, as described in the Bible, that is not God, big G, per se, the source of the universe. That is one of the gods. And it's made clear in the early texts of the Bible, in the ancient Hebrew texts, that it was the Elohim that created the heavens and the earth. It's the Elohim that descended to earth. And it was a member of the Elohim team that was speaking with Adam in the Garden of Eden. They said, "Let us create man after our own image and in our own likeness." So it's very likely that the ancients were worshipping extraterrestrial visitors, very highly evolved beings from other planets, other worlds, very powerful. Maybe they bioengineered us. None of us can be certain about any of that. But one thing is for sure: God, as I define God, is the source of my being. If God is a being, that is not the big God, that is one of the gods. If God is the source of all beings, that's the big G. That's the God I'm talking about. So again, it seems as though there's a big difference between the true God and the God of religions. And the Gnostics make this clear. They speak about the God of the Bible as a demiurge, as a lesser level of the divine. And they also teach that the gnosis, that the true God is within, that we go within to experience God. And that's what I love about the Nam-myoho Renge Kyo chant. Remember the universal law of life, embodied in the Lotus Sutra. Nam-myoho Renge Kyo is that in Japanese. And the universal law of life is that whilst we are in the universe is within us. And all we have to do to gain knowledge, to understand the universe, is to go within. So I'm going to leave you there, leave you with that thought. And when it comes to people like Richard Dawkins, the God delusion, I really feel that he is challenging belief in the demiurge, in the God of religion. He has no truck with Buddhism, from which Nam-myoho Renge Kyo is derived. He's not in contention with the Buddhist idea of going within, meditating, and finding the source of everything within. So we don't need to be bothered about extraterrestrials. We don't need really to be even concerned about higher levels of reality, super energy, etc. These are all distractions. All that matters is that we are here now. All that matters is that we embody the whole universe in all its multivarious forms and levels, here and now within us. We don't have to wait for anything. We don't have to go anywhere. We just have to relax. Let go of our anxiety and our concerns. Dive into the inner stillness, that deep pool of peace lies within us, that source of our own being, that source of our lives. And just be at peace and allow what we need to know to come through us and come to us. And realizing that everyone and everything else is our equal. So thank you for listening. Namaste.